When my wife chose to wear a revealing dress to an all-male work meeting, I simply disappeared. Her return 3 years later with a child left me paralyzed by a truth I never expected. Be me, 43-year-old Richard Bennett, standing at the window of my corner office, looking over the Manhattan skyline. Smirk crosses my face as I survey what feels like my kingdom. In many ways, it actually is. My tech company, Bennett Digital, just crushed another quarter. Stock prices hitting record highs. Investors practically begging to throw money at us. Competitors can barely keep up with our pace. Turn away from the window. Italian leather Oxford silent against the plush carpet. Office screams success and power. Modern design with carefully chosen art pieces. Everything carefully selected to project authority. Look exactly like my office suggests. At 43, still maintain perfect shape. Look younger than most guys in their 30s. Salt and pepper hair styled just right. Perfect mix of experience and vitality. Quiet knock at the door interrupts my thoughts. Come in, I say, voice sharp and commanding. My assistant Amanda walks in carrying reports. The quarterly numbers, Mr. Bennett, she says. And your wife called about tonight's art exhibition. Feel my jaw tighten slightly. Charlotte, my trophy wife. Every executive in Manhattan envies me for her. Probably spending hours in front of a mirror right now, choosing which designer dress will show off her perfect figure best. Thank you, Amanda, that's all. Door clicks shut behind her. Allow myself a rare moment of honesty. Marriage is becoming more of a burden lately. Charlotte is stunning, no question about it. But her constant need for attention, her barely hidden dissatisfaction, all of it grating on my nerves. Running a tech empire isn't exactly a 9-to-5 job. Can't be expected to cater to her every whim. Still, appearances matter. Power couple image is great for business, even if it's starting to feel more like a carefully crafted illusion. Meanwhile, across town, in their luxurious penthouse in Upper East Side, Charlotte Bennett stands in front of a mirror, expression far from the smug satisfaction Richard imagines. Her perfectly manicured fingers fumble with a diamond necklace, another expensive gift from her husband. Feels more like a golden chain with each passing day. Let out a heavy sigh while staring at reflection. At 31, still absolutely stunning. Long platinum blonde hair, crystal blue eyes that could stop traffic. Body that turns heads everywhere she goes. But lately, those admiring glances feel hollow. What's the point of being desired by everyone when the one person whose attention matters barely looks at you? Mine drifts back to early days of marriage. Richard used to be so different, always surprising her with thoughtful gifts, whisking her away on spontaneous romantic trips. But as his company grew bigger, the distance between them grew wider. Lucky if he makes it home for dinner twice a week now. Eyes drift to invitations sitting on vanity. Another tedious art exhibition. Will go, of course. Play the role of perfect wife. Laugh at all the right moments. Charm all the right people. That's what expected of her. But deep inside, craving something more. Something real. Something to make her feel alive again. Little does she know. That's something about to crash into her life. Turn everything upside down. Arrive at exhibition fashionably late. Place already buzzing with activity. Glide through crowd effortlessly. Accept air kisses and compliments. Years of practice made it second nature. Richard nowhere to be seen, obviously. He'll probably show up an hour late, make brief appearance, then disappear citing some urgent business crisis. By second glass of champagne, notice him standing across the room, tall with messy dark copper hair, mischievous smile that stands out, different from crowd of perfectly polished tech executives, and their meticulously groomed arm candy. He's studying large abstract painting, head tilted with genuine interest. Find myself walking toward him before realizing it. Fascinating piece, isn't it? Try to keep subtle sarcasm out of voice. He turns to face me. Breath catches in throat. Eyes are striking amber color, full of mischief and something darker. Something dangerous. Oh, absolutely, he replies easily, matching my playful tone. I especially love how the artist captures existential dread, pauses to look back at painting, through what appears to be random blue paint splattered across canvas. Can't help but laugh. Real, genuine laugh. Haven't felt that in forever. I'm Charlotte. Extend my hand. He takes it. Touch lingers just a second too long. Definitely not appropriate. Adrian Turner, pleasure's all mine, Charlotte. Fall into effortless conversation. Feel something stirring inside? Something haven't felt in years. Adrian is everything Richard isn't. Passionate, spontaneous, actually present in the moment. Tells me he's an artist. Speaks about his work with self-deprecating humor. Find it both refreshing and charming. So caught up in conversation, don't even notice Richard's arrival until he's standing right beside me, his imposing presence casting long shadow. Darling, he says. Voice polite but with unmistakable edge. I see you've made a new friend. Feel flicker of guilt. Quickly push it down. Haven't done anything wrong, at least not yet. Richard, this is Adrian Turner. He's an artist. Adrian, this is my husband, Richard Bennett. Try to keep introduction casual. Ignore tension sparking between them. As they size each other up, Richard's handshake obviously too firm. His smile doesn't reach his eyes. An artist, how fascinating. His tone makes clear he finds it anything but. I'm afraid I'll have to steal my wife away, Mr. Turner. We've got some business to attend to. I'm sure you understand. As Richard leads me away, his hand rests possessively on small of my back. Steal one last glance over shoulder. Adrian still watching us leave. That playful grin lingering on his lips. Shiver of excitement shoots through me. For first time in years, feel truly alive. Richard Bennett, not accustomed to being made fool of. Sitting in home office later that evening, staring coldly at photographs spread before me. Dark anger churning in chest. Images leave no room for doubt. There's Charlotte, my wife, caught in passionate embrace with that artist. Adrian Turner had sensed something was off. Sudden spike in her interest in art exhibitions. Way she'd started acting distant. Always keeping phone close, but hadn't expected her to be so brazen. Flaunting affair right under my nose. Maxwell Hayes, private investigator I hired. Standing quietly by door. Knows better than to offer sympathy or explanations. He did his job. Did it well? These are the originals? Keep voice eerily calm. Eyes never leaving incriminating photos. Yes, sir, no copies, no negatives. Everything's also on the flash drive. Maxwell confirms with professional nod. Lean back in chair. Fingers steepled beneath chin. Built empire from nothing. Crushed competition without second thought. Did Charlotte really think I'd just roll over for this betrayal? You're dismissed, Maxwell. I'll transfer the rest of your fee in morning. Once door closes behind investigator. Allow myself brief moment of raw rage. With snarl, sweep photographs off desk. Watch them scatter. Drift to floor like dead leaves. But rage vanishes quickly as it came. Richard Bennett doesn't lose control. I calculate. I plan. When time comes, I strike with ruthless precision. Pick up phone. Start making calls. First to bank. Joint accounts frozen. Credit cards canceled. Then to lawyer. Divorce proceedings to begin immediately. Prenuptial agreement to be enforced fully. Finally make way to master bedroom. Charlotte out again. Likely at another endless charity event. Movements calm, almost methodical. Pack her belongings. Designer dresses. Glittering jewelry. Tossed carelessly into suitcases. Don't give them second thought. When everything packed and ready, sit down at desk. Pin short note. Keep it cold and detached as I feel. You wanted freedom, now you have it. Don't come back. Within hour, locks changed throughout house. Across town, Charlotte completely oblivious. Lost in haze of expensive wine and desire. Wrapped up in Adrian's world. Far cry from sterile perfection of Bennett Mansion. Adrian's loft cluttered and chaotic. Air thick with scent of oil paints and passion. Barely make it through door. Before clothes start flying. Later, tangled in his rumpled sheets. Feel brief pang of guilt. Fades quickly though. No should feel worse about betraying Richard. But in Adrian's arms, feel truly seen for first time in years. We should go away together, Adrian murmurs, trailing soft kisses along collarbone. Got a show coming up in Venice. Come with me. Hesitate for moment. Mind racing with possibilities. Idea seems absurd. Leave Richard? Entire life built around being Mrs. Bennett. And yet, yes, whisper before can stop myself. Yes, let's do it. Fantasy crashes down, moment return home. Try to unlock door. Key doesn't work. Frown and ring bell. No answer. That's when notice suitcases. Neatly piled by door. Note pinned to handle of one. Read Richard's cold, cutting message. Blood drains from face. He knows. How could he know? Panic surges in chest. Rising in throat. Fumble for phone. Try credit cards. Both declined. In matter of hours, Charlotte Bennett gone from Manhattan royalty to homeless and penniless. Fingers shaking as dial Adrian's number. He'll understand. He'll help. Tell myself these lies. But when Adrian picks up, warmth in his voice completely gone. Sorry, babe, he says. Doesn't sound sorry at all. Got a career to think about. Can't afford to get caught up in all this drama. You understand, right? Line goes dead. Sink to knees on doorstep of what was once my home. Gambled everything on fantasy. Lost it all in single night. Meanwhile, Richard already planning 3 steps ahead. Anticipated Charlotte might try to retaliate. Perhaps even attempt to harm him or company out of spite. But Richard Bennett isn't man to be caught off guard. Gone to ground completely. Increased personal security. Isolated himself from potential threats. What hadn't seen coming, though, was opportunistic circling of Vincent Reeves, longtime business rival. Man sensed blood and water. As rumors of Bennett marital troubles spread through hushed whispers in corporate circles. Seeing rare chance to strike, Vincent launched hostile takeover bid, accompanied by vicious smear campaign aimed at shaking investor confidence in Bennett Digital. Vincent's team working overtime. digging for anything they could use to undermine Richard's position. But what Reeves failed to realize was hard truth about Richard Bennett, most dangerous when cornered. While Charlotte drifted aimlessly, cut off from life she once knew, Adrian Turner, concocting plan of his own, might not want her anymore, but wasn't about to let opportunity slip through fingers. With few compromising photos, some carefully applied leverage, Adrian figured he could squeeze decent sum out of great Richard Bennett, plan built on arrogance and greed. Fueled by Adrian's belief in own wit and charm, what Adrian didn't know was that he was poking Sleeping Bear, one about to wake up and tear his world apart. Richard sat in office, glass of aged bourbon sitting untouched on desk. To outsider might have appeared broken man, beaten down by personal betrayal, under siege from professional attack, but that would have been grave mistake. Behind Richard's cold, steely gaze, plans already taking shape, strategies falling into place. Yes, he was backed into corner, but cornered predator always most dangerous. Phone on desk buzzes. Mr. Bennett, assistant's voice comes through. Calm and professional as always. There's an Adrian Turner here to see you. Says it's urgent. Cold smile tugs at corners of mouth. Right on schedule. Send him in. Adrian swaggers into office, full of fake bravado. Misplaced confidence obvious. Without saying word, tosses envelope onto Richard's desk. His attempt at power move. I think you'll find contents of that very interesting. Struggles to keep voice steady. Under Richard's unblinking stare, Richard doesn't even glance at envelope. Let me guess, he says, voice cool and unbothered. Photos of you and my wife in various compromising positions, and in exchange for keeping them out of press. You want what? Money? Stake in my company? Adrian's smug grin falters. This isn't going according to plan. Look, Bennett, I'm giving you chance to keep this quiet. You wouldn't, Adrian starts. Richard cuts him off, tone dangerously soft. Did you really think you were first to try this? That I wouldn't be prepared. With click of mouse, Richard turns computer screen toward Adrian, revealing beginning of well-laid trap. On screen is detailed dossier, comprehensive account of Adrian's entire sordid past. Every fraud, every con, every dirty secret he'd ever buried, all laid bare. You see, Richard begins, voice calm but menacing. While you were busy snapping photos, I was busy learning everything about Adrian Turner. Or should I say Gregory Harrison? Or maybe Peter Winters. You've had quite few names, haven't you? Color drains from Adrian's face, stumbles over words, trying to figure out how Richard could know all this. How did you? I have resources you couldn't begin to imagine, Mr. Turner. Richard interrupts smoothly. Now here's what's going to happen. You're going to hand over every copy of those photos, every scrap of evidence from your little fling with my wife. Then you're going to disappear. Because if you don't, I will bury you so deep in legal trouble, you'll be lucky to see daylight again this decade. Am I clear? Adrian nods frantically. False bravado completely gone. Scrambles to leave, but Richard's voice stops him cold at door. Oh, and Adrian, Richard adds, voice chillingly soft. If you ever come near me or my company again, what I've done to you today will seem like gentle warning. Now get out of my sight. As door closes behind retreating Adrian Turner, Richard allows brief moment of satisfaction. One threat down, but real battle far from over. Across town, Vincent Reeves riding high, feeling victorious. His hostile takeover bid for Bennett Digital seems to be gaining momentum. Investors growing nervous, board starting to ask difficult questions. Looks like Richard Bennett's empire on verge of collapse. But Vincent made fatal mistake. Assumed Richard, still reeling from personal scandal, would be too distracted to fight back. Couldn't have been more wrong. Even as Vincent celebrates supposed victory, Richard already mobilizing forces. Loyal employees called to arms. Industry allies rallied. Calculated counteroffensive launched with surgical precision. Damaging information about Vincent's shady business practices began leaking to press. Key investors in Vincent's takeover suddenly having second thoughts. Getting cold feet at last minute. Through it all, Richard stands firm, unflinching, projecting image of unwavering confidence to world. Slowly but surely tide begins to turn. What seemed like sure victory for Vincent Reeves, rapidly crumbling into humiliating defeat. But just when Richard thought he'd weathered storm, there she was. Charlotte appeared on his doorstep, looking like ghost of former self. Gone was glamorous socialite. In her place stood woman with rumpled designer clothes, smudged makeup, hollow eyes. She cradled infant in her arms. Richard, she whispers. Voice breaking. Please, I have nowhere else to go. This is your son. For a moment, just fleeting moment, Richard feels something. Flicker of pity, maybe even regret, but squashes it ruthlessly. Hardens heart. Charlotte made her choice. Betrayed him. Humiliated him. Tried to make fool of him. Now she stands before him, clutching child. His child, apparently. Come in, Richard says, voice cold and devoid of any warmth. There would be no welcome here. We have much to discuss, as Charlotte steps past him, cradling baby to chest, Richard's mind already spinning with possibilities. Child complicates things, sure, but also presents opportunities, ways to ensure Charlotte would never be threat to him again. Closes door behind her. Expression unreadable. Rules of game had changed. But Richard Bennett, nothing if not adaptable. Whatever Charlotte's intentions, whatever game she thought she was playing, he would twist it to his advantage. In business and life, Richard always came out on top. Didn't plan on breaking that streak now. Richard's office, a fortress of glass and steel, reflection of man himself, standing by floor-to-ceiling windows, hands clasped behind back, staring out at city that almost slipped from grasp. But Richard Bennett doesn't lose. Not to faithless wife, not to opportunistic artists, certainly not to corporate scavengers like Vincent Reeves. Intercom buzzes, breaking silence. Sir, she's here. Cold smile plays at corners of mouth. Send her in. Charlotte enters. Mere shadow of woman she used to be. Designer clothes gone. Perfectly styled hair, just memory. Now looks small, defeated, just as she should. Sit, Richard commands. Not bothering to turn around, Charlotte perches nervously on edge of chair, purse clutched tightly in lap. Like only thing holding her together. Richard, save it, cut her off. Finally turning to face her, eyes cold, hard like chips of ice. Not interested in your excuses or tears. What I care about is what you can do for me. Confusion flickers across Charlotte's face. What I can do for you. Lean against desk, towering over her. Vincent Reeves, know you've met him at those insufferable charity events. You used to drag me to, want you to get close to him? Feed him information. Information I'll provide. Charlotte's eyes widen. You want me to spy on him for you? Think of it as penance, Richard replies. Voice dripping with disdain. You were so eager to betray me before. Now you can put those skills to good use. Charlotte swallows hard. This not reunion she imagined, not what she hoped for. But what choice does she have? She's broke, homeless, with child to care for. Richard holds all cards. And if I do this, she asks. Voice barely above whisper. You'll let us stay? Richard smiles, sharp, predatory. I'll consider it, but understand this, Charlotte. Richard warns, voice cold and calculating. One misstep, and you'll regret ever setting foot in my office. Do we understand each other? Charlotte nods, feeling last vestiges of dignity slip away as she exits. Richard allows brief moment of triumph. Has turned greatest liability into strategic advantage. Once Vincent Reeves brought to knees, Charlotte will be discarded like yesterday's news. Meanwhile, Vincent Reeves grappling with mounting pressure. His ambitious assault on Bennett Digital hit wall. Investors pulling back faster than expected. Storms around his office. Hair disheveled mess. Frustration boiling over. How is he still standing? Vincent spits at team of advisors. Runs hands through tangled hair. He should be reeling. One of advisors hesitantly replies, Sir, we underestimated Bennett's resilience. Vincent slams fist down on table. Makes everyone jump. Excuses won't cut it. I need results. Find me something we can use against him. Just then phone buzzes. Unknown number. Hope flickers in chest as answers. Hello, Mr. Reeves, familiar voice responds. Shaky but clear. It's Charlotte Bennett. I have information that might interest you. Vincent's eyes spark with predatory glint. This exactly break he needed. Chance to turn tide against Richard Bennett. Unbeknownst to him, stepping right into trap set by enemy. In home office, Richard observes unfolding drama with keen interest. Charlotte reached out to Vincent exactly as orchestrated. Now time to set plan in motion. Grabs phone. Dials familiar number. Max will need you to monitor Charlotte closely. Every action, every conversation. Want to know if she even breathes without my say-so? Maxwell Hayes, ever dutiful assistant, replies without hesitation. Understood, Mr. Bennett. I'll get started immediately. As Richard hangs up, satisfied smirk creeps onto face. Charlotte believes she's playing dangerous game, but merely pawn in his elaborate strategy, one meant to be sacrificed for greater gain. Weeks drag on as Charlotte feeds Vincent. Series of carefully tailored bits of information, each designed to deepen his delusion, lead him further into own trap, blinded by ambition to take down Richard. He devours every deceptive morsel she offers. But best-laid plans often encounter unforeseen complications. Enter Madeline Pierce, specter from Charlotte's past. Once close friend, Madeline always harbored envy toward Charlotte. The beauty, the wealth, the seemingly perfect life. Now working as Vincent's personal assistant, sees this as golden opportunity to exact her revenge. Unexpected encounter in high-end coffee shop. Nearly slips past Charlotte completely, exhausted from weight of double life. Almost walk right by old friend. Charlotte! Madeline's voice sweet as honey, but laced with hidden malice. My God, it's been ages. Freeze in tracks? Forced smile that doesn't reach eyes. Madeline, what a surprise. Exchange pleasantries. While Madeline's sharp gaze roams over Charlotte's worn appearance, takes in noticeable absence of wedding ring. Sensing weakness, she leans in, false sympathy dripping from words. You poor thing. Richard treating you badly? You know, I'm working for Vincent Reeves now. Bet he'd be very interested in hearing about your situation. Panic surges through Charlotte. This is not how plans supposed to unfold. But as Madeline paints vivid pictures of freedom and revenge against Richard, treacherous part of mind begins to consider possibilities. Maybe, just maybe, there's way out of this mess after all. Moments later, find myself in luxurious bathroom of Vincent Reeves's penthouse office, hands trembling as grips sink. What had I done? Weight of betrayal settles in stomach, threatening to push its way up throat. Just handed Vincent keys to Richard's empire. Real actionable intelligence about Bennett Digital's next big move. Not fabricated lies Richard fed me, but genuine information uncovered during clandestine missions. Madeline's voice echoes in mind. Think about it, Charlotte. Once Vincent takes down Richard, you'll be free, rich, powerful, answering to no one. Isn't that what you've always wanted? Had been so tempting. Glimmer of hope in corner, Richard backed me into. Chance to reclaim control over life. Yet as stare into reflection, don't see triumphant woman. See fool poised to make same mistake twice. Meanwhile in war room at Bennett Digital, Richard Bennett allows himself rare moment of genuine satisfaction. Everything falling perfectly into place. Sir, assistant's voice crackles over intercom. Mr. Reeves' company just made move you predicted. Richard's eyes sparkle with triumph. Excellent. Initiate phase 2. Had anticipated Charlotte's betrayal, woven into her very nature. That's why set trap within trap. Vital information she stumbled upon. Meticulously orchestrated ruse. Designed to lead Vincent Reeves into financial disaster. As news of Vincent's catastrophic business decision floods financial wires, Richard relishes moment fully, aware that he has once again outmaneuvered enemies. Will crush one enemy with weapon of another. Poetry in motion. But Richard Bennett, not one to leave loose ends. Time to deal with Charlotte and her little co-conspirator. Once and for all. Across town, Madeline Pierce riding high. She had done it. Finally outmaneuvered great Charlotte Bennett. Vincent Reeves elated. Already plotting dismantling of Bennett Digital. Promising Madeline substantial reward. For her role and scheme. When knock echoes through her apartment, opens door with quizzical expression, only to find Richard Bennett standing there, flanked by two imposing, serious-looking men. Hello, Madeline, Richard says. Voice smooth but eyes like ice. Think it's time we had chat, don't you? Madeline's blood turns to ice. How had he discovered her betrayal? What did he know? As Richard steps into her apartment, sickening realization washes over her. Had severely underestimated him. What follows is masterclass in psychological warfare. Richard lays bare details of Madeline's past, her petty crimes, her manipulations, her simmering envy of Charlotte. He has dates, times, witness statements, ironclad case that could send her to prison for years. Please, Madeline whimpers, all semblance of strength evaporating. I'll do anything. Just don't turn me in. Predator's smile creeps across Richard's face, glinting with malevolent satisfaction. Oh, I know you will, Madeline. In fact, you're going to help me tie up last loose end in this little drama. Hour later, Charlotte receives text from Madeline. Emergency, meet me at usual place now. Charlotte arrives at quiet cafe, nerves frayed and on edge. Had something gone wrong with plan? Was Vincent suspicious? Chill runs down spine when sees not just Madeline, but Richard sitting at corner table. Madeline's face ashen, her eyes red-rimmed. Richard, Charlotte's heart races. As takes in scene, Richard looks like cat that swallowed canary. Sit down, Charlotte, he says, voice deceptively soft. Time we cleared air, don't you think? What follows is most excruciating hour of Charlotte's life. Richard systematically dismantles every lie, every scheme, every betrayal. He knows everything, had known everything from very beginning. You see, Charlotte, he explains, tone almost gentle in its cruelty. You never stood chance. You're playing checkers in world of chess grandmasters. As weight of actions and futility of struggles crash down, Charlotte sobs, mascara streaking cheeks, all dignity abandoned. As faces consequences of choices, reality of situation consuming her whole. What do you want from me? Gasps, voice barely whisper amid sobs threatening to overtake. Richard leans back, expression chilling mask of cold calculation. It's quite straightforward, really. You will help me obliterate Vincent Reeves, utterly and completely. And then, my dear soon-to-be ex-wife, you will vanish without trace. I'll ensure boy is taken care of. After all, he shouldn't suffer for your treachery. But you You will face consequences of your choices. Defeated, Charlotte nods, feeling weight of surrender settle heavily in chest. Fire of rebellion that once burned so fiercely, now extinguished completely. No more schemes. No more delusions of outmaneuvering Richard Bennett. As step out of cafe, feel last remnant of old life disintegrate. Like ash and wind, had yearned for liberation, for excitement, for passion, yet found self ensnared in treacherous web of own weaving, with Richard as merciless spider at center. Most unsettling realization, small traitorous part of me, admires his ruthless efficiency, way he turned every attack to his advantage, how he made enemies destroy each other, while keeping own hands clean. No should hate him for what he's done, for what he's making me do, but can't help feeling twisted sort of respect. For man who always stays 10 steps ahead, who turns defeat into victory. Even as he destroys everything I am, Richard Bennett stands at head of conference table, exudes aura of absolute authority, commands every ounce of attention in room. Most trusted lieutenants surround him, each one product of his discerning eye for loyalty and unyielding efficiency. Ladies and gentlemen, Richard begins, voice smooth ice that cuts through air like blade. Today marks end of our adversary. Vincent Reeves believes he can seize what's rightfully mine, thinks he can exploit my personal failures against me. Today we will correct his misconceptions. Gestures to CFO who activates screen behind him, illuminating series of intricate financial projections. Thanks to intel provided by our allies, Richard continues, malevolent smirk dancing across lips. Mr. Reeves has stretched his resources too thin, his company drowning in debt, betting on takeover that's hollow as his ambition. Room hums with anticipation. They've all witnessed Richard's prowess before. But this was entirely different beast. We strike at dawn, he declares, voice sharpening with resolve. Deploy every financial weapon in our arsenal. Call in every favor. Leverage every connection. By this time tomorrow, Vincent Reeves will be left with nothing. As team surges into action, each individual eager to contribute to impending downfall of Vincent Reeves. Richard allows moment of grim satisfaction. Had taken every blow life dealt him. Faithless wife, scheming rival, transformed them into instruments of ultimate triumph. Meanwhile, across town, Vincent Reeves revels in blissful ignorance. Of guillotine hovering over his head, paces his office. Excitement bubbling within him. This is it, everyone, he declares, to gathered executives. Voice brimming with confidence. In week, Bennett Digital will be ours. That arrogant fool won't see it coming. Little does Vincent know. Insider information fueling his grand plans. Nothing more than carefully crafted illusion, designed to ensnare him in trap of own making. As Vincent raises glass in premature toast to victory, desperate scheme taking shape in mind of Adrian Turner. Recently released from prison, his reputation lies in ruins, thanks to Richard's ruthless maneuvers. Now views Vincent's crusade against Bennett as golden ticket back to power. With suave demeanor, Adrian secures meeting with Vincent, spins enticing tale of insider knowledge, and burning thirst for vengeance against Richard. I know that bastard better than anyone, he asserts. Charm dialed up to maximum. Can give you information that'll bury him for good. Drunk on thrill of impending triumph and generous dose of actual champagne. Vincent falls for bait. All right, Turner, you've got one shot. Don't make me regret this. Vincent just invited Viper into his nest. Adrian has no intention of aiding Vincent in quest. His loyalty lies solely with himself. If playing both sides way to emerge victorious, then that's simply smart business. Dawn breaks over city, painting sky in shades of pink and gold. Yet within walls of Bennett Digital and Reeves Enterprises, no time to appreciate breathtaking view. Financial war that been simmering for months erupts into full-blown offensive. Richard's team moves with surgical precision, exploiting every weakness in Vincent's overextended empire. Stock prices plummet, credit lines abruptly frozen. Whispers of impending bankruptcy begin to circulate. Among nervous investors, Vincent Reeves watches in horror as carefully constructed house of cards crumbles around him. This is impossible, he bellows, slamming fist on desk. How could all our intel be wrong? Panic claws at him as turns to trusted accomplice. Adrian Turner, you said you could bring Bennett down. What the hell happened? Adrian, ever opportunist, senses shifting tides, knows it's time to change course. I can explain everything, he says, voice dripping with feigned sincerity. But not here. Meet me at abandoned warehouse on Pier 39. Tonight, I'll provide all evidence you need to turn this around. As Vincent grasps at this last desperate straw, hoping against hope, Richard Bennett, finalizing last details of master plan, had anticipated Adrian's inevitable betrayal, counted on man's predictable greed. Is everything in place? Richard inquires, tone cool and steady. Turns to Maxwell, ever loyal private investigator. Yes, sir, Maxwell replies, knowing smile spreading across face. Police have been anonymously tipped off about major drug deal going down at Pier 39 tonight. They'll be there in force. Richard's lips curl into satisfied smile. This more than just revenge. It's reckoning. Richard allows himself cold chuckle. Reveling in orchestration of plan? Excellent. Make sure our dear friend Mr. Turner is found with briefcase full of secrets. Instructs while savoring delicious irony. As night descends, Vincent Reeves creeps into dimly lit warehouse. Weight of desperation heavy on shoulders. Shadows dance ominously around him. Feels as if very walls closing in. Spots Adrian waiting. Sleek briefcase resting in his hand, like loaded gun. Vincent, my friend, Adrian begins. Voice smooth as silk but laced with poison. I hold key to taking down Richard Bennett. Once and for all, before Vincent can reach for case. Atmosphere shifts abruptly. Warehouse erupts in chaos. Police sirens howl like wolves in night. Beams of harsh light slice through darkness. Commanding voices echo, ordering everyone to freeze. In pandemonium, Adrian makes desperate dash for exit, only to slam into wall of officers. Briefcase slips from fingers, crashes open upon impact, reveals cascade of white powder and bundles of cash that flutter to floor like fallen leaves. As handcuffs click around their wrists, Vincent's mind races, heart pounding with disbelief. How had it all gone so wrong? Richard Bennett observes scene from shadows, predatory grin curling on lips, has definitively dismantled both threats to empire, with single calculated maneuver, with sirens fading into distance. Richard savors triumph, pulls out phone, dials familiar number. It's done, states. Tone final, hangs up without waiting for response, fully aware of ramifications. Meanwhile, Charlotte's phone buzzes with ominous message, meaning crystal clear. Final act played out, and once again Richard emerged victorious, looking down at child sleeping innocently in arms. Adrian's child feels surge of guilt and despair, unwitting pawn in ruthless game. Child represents everything Charlotte sacrificed. Wave of exhaustion washes over. As contemplates future, Richard promised to care for child, but knows better than to trust him, has betrayed him twice. Last thing he would ever do is grant her mercy. Next morning, financial world erupts in chaos. Vincent Reeves, once darling of Wall Street, now dominates every news channel. Images of his arrest flare across screens, accompanied by scandalous allegations of drug trafficking and corporate espionage. Richard lounges in office, satisfied smirk edged on face. As watches media frenzy unfold, phone buzzes continuously, cacophony of voices clamoring for attention. Reporters, investors, board members, all desperate for insight and reassurance. From man who once again turned tides in his favor, but Richard already calculating next move. Has eliminated adversaries, yes, but loose ends remain. Charlotte potential complication, and child fragile life entangled in web of adult treachery. Something he cannot ignore. Presses intercom. Voice cool and commanding. Send her in, instructs he. Predatory glint in eyes. As prepares for next phase of elaborate game, Charlotte enters room. Her demeanor small and defeated, as if very air sucked from lungs. Fiery spark that once captivated Richard, now extinguished, smothered by own poor choices and his relentless pursuit of retribution. Sit, he commands. Tone firm yet not unkind. She sinks into chair across from him, shoulders slumped. Richard studies her with measured gaze. I'm sure you've seen news, he begins. Voice steady. Charlotte nods, weight of his words pressing down on her. Vincent Reeves is finished. Adrian Turner back where he belongs. Behind bars, he pauses, letting gravity of circumstances settle in. And you, lets words hang in air. Heavy with implication. You have choice to make. Charlotte looks up. Flicker of hope sparking in eyes. A choice? Richard leans forward, expression hardening. Yes, promise to provide for child. And I am man of my word. But you've proven time and again that you cannot be trusted. Lays out options like cards on table. Can walk away now. I'll set up trust for boy. He'll have everything he needs, but you will never see him again. Charlotte gasps, clutching chest as if dealt physical blow. Or, she whispers, dread pooling in stomach. Or, Richard continues, voice cold and precise as blade, can stay and work for me. Under my direct supervision, every move you make will be watched. Every action scrutinized. You'll have access to child. But make no mistake, one misstep, one hint of betrayal, and you will lose everything. Tears well in Charlotte's eyes. As full weight of words sinks in, this no act of benevolence, it's life sentence. Gilded cage promising proximity to child, but stripping her of any semblance of freedom. Why? She chokes out, voice trembling. Why offer me anything at all? For a brief moment, Richard's expression softens, Flicker of something almost tender, crossing features. Because despite everything, Charlotte, there was time when I loved you. And that boy, he deserves chance at better life than either of us had. His eyes lock onto hers, silent warning lurking beneath sincerity. But I will change my decision. Based on your behavior, Charlotte wipes away tears. Heart racing, knows there's only one choice she can make. I'll stay, says quietly, words heavy with resignation. Under your terms, Richard straightens, signaling end of conversation. Very well. I'll contact you soon. As she leaves office, weight of decision settles on her like shroud. Richard turns to gaze out over city. He now rules unopposed, has won completely and utterly. His enemies vanquished, position secure. Richard straightens his tie, preparing to face press. Still work to be done. Empire to run. Richard Bennett, man who always looks forward, never back. As sun sets over Manhattan, casting long shadows across city, Richard raises glass of bourbon, silent toast to victory, to power, to unyielding strength. That carried him through every battle. Richard Bennett stands by expansive windows of penthouse office, glass of aged bourbon in hand, surveying sprawling city below. Sunset paints skyline in fiery hues, orange and purple, almost poetic backdrop to end of prolonged battle. Vincent Reeves's company, once fierce competitor, had crumbled spectacularly, now merely another feather in Richard's cap, acquired at fraction of true worth. Amid wreckage of Vincent's disgrace, media frenzy around scandal relentless, whispers of corporate espionage, blackmail and drug trafficking fill airwaves, spinning narrative that paints Vincent as fallen titan. His reputation lies in ruins, cautionary tale for anyone daring to challenge Richard's reign. Cold, satisfied smirk tugs at corners of lips, has achieved total victory. Soft knock at door interrupts thoughts. Come in, calls. Still fixated on view, Maxwell Hayes, ever loyal private investigator, steps inside, demeanor serious. It's done, Mr. Bennett. Adrian Turner arrested on embezzlement charges. Evidence we fabricated convincing enough to seal his fate. Richard turns to Maxwell, tension in shoulders easing slightly. And what of Madeline? She's been blacklisted as instructed. Won't find work in this city again, nor in any other. Good, Richard replies, hint of approval in tone. You've outdone yourself, Maxwell. There's bonus in it for you. Maxwell expresses gratitude with nod. Exits room, well aware of unspoken rule. Linger too long, might become part of collateral damage. Left to own thoughts, Richard's mind drifts to Charlotte. Woman who betrayed him, who tried to manipulate him. With child that was never his. She final loose end. In meticulously woven plans. In modest, sparsely furnished apartment across town. Now Charlotte Wilson stares at reflection. In grimy mirror, vibrant life once known is gone. Replaced by weary woman, draped in guilt and regret. Stylish clothes, glamorous makeup gone. Confidence that once radiated from her vanished, leaving behind shell, marked by struggles of life hadn't signed up for. Sound of son's laughter filters through thin walls, bittersweet reminder of one genuine joy in life. He blissfully unaware of chaos surrounding them. Innocent caught in whirlwind of adult betrayals. Suddenly phone buzzes, drawing attention. Text flashes on screen. An address, a time, and two words that grip with dread. Be there. Recognize sender instantly. Richard never needs to sign messages. His presence resonates in every terse command, every chilling ultimatum. Wave of anxiety washes over, knowing have no choice but to obey. Stakes higher than ever, keenly aware of trap closing in. Following day, find myself in bland office building, anxiety coiling tightly in stomach. As face man once called husband, Richard looks exactly as remember, impeccably dressed, hair styled to perfection, eyes sharp and calculating. Like hawk assessing prey. Sit, he commands, gesturing to chair across from him. It's directive, not invitation. Perched nervously on edge of seat, hands twisting in lap. Richard, he raises hand to silence. Not interested in apologies or explanations, Charlotte. What's done is done. I've arranged job for you far from here. Not glamorous, but honest work. You'll be able to support yourself and child. Surprise flickers in eyes. His unexpected offer feels like sliver of kindness, albeit far from warmth had hoped for. Thank you, managed to whisper. Voice shaky, Richard's expression remains impassive, as if gratitude is inconvenience. Don't thank me. This isn't forgiveness. It's my way of ensuring you and that child stay far away from my life and business. You'll receive allowance for boys' care, but make no mistake. One misstep, one attempt to reach out to me, or anyone connected to me, and it all disappears. Are we clear? Charlotte nods, lump forming in throat. as weight of words settles over like shroud. This is it. Final severing of ties with old life. As Charlotte rises to leave, Richard's voice softens, though steel in tone remains unmistakable. I hope you find some peace, Charlotte. And I hope that child has better life than the one you nearly condemned him to. With that, Charlotte flees office, tears streaming down cheeks, has lost everything. Wealth, status, self-respect. Yet as thoughts of son waiting at home fill mind, glimmer of hope ignites within. Still has one thing left, chance at redemption. Richard watches her go, expression mask of indifference. Has done what was necessary. Threats neutralized, empire secure. If there's hollow feeling deep in gut, well, that's simply price of victory, isn't it? 5 years pass in blink of eye. Richard Bennett's empire has expanded, his influence reaching far beyond tech world. Had once dominated, become formidable force in business realm, respected and feared in equal measure. But tonight, as sits in study, none of that matters. Eyes fixated on photograph, haven't examined in years. Snapshot of himself as young boy, standing beside father. Man's face was kind, smile genuine. Photo taken just weeks before everything crumbled. Before father's business partners betrayed him, leaving their family destitute. Knock-at-door jolts from memories. Come in, calls, hastily tucking photo away in desk drawer. Assistant enters looking unusually anxious. Telltale sign something significant looms. Mr. Bennett, there's someone here to see you. It's Charlotte Wilson. She says it's urgent. Richard's eyes narrow at mention of her name. After all this time, why was she here? Send her in, instructs. Voice steady despite surprise coursing through him. Moments later, Charlotte steps into room. She looks different. Older, certainly, but there's quiet dignity about her. That hadn't been there before. Trailing behind her, clutching her hand, boy of about 6 years old. Richard, she says, voice surprisingly steady, even as fear flickers in eyes. I'm sorry to come unannounced, but I need your help. Richard leans back in chair. Face impassive mask. You're a long way from where I left you, Charlotte. This had better be good. Taking deep breath. Charlotte speaks. I'm dying, Richard. Cancer. Doctors give me 6 months. Maybe less. She gestures to boy, who gazing around office with wide-eyed curiosity. This is Aiden, my son. Richard's gaze flicks between Charlotte and boy. Your son? Not biologically, she admits. Voice faltering slightly. But you're only one who can give him chance. A good life after I'm gone? Please, Richard. I know I have no right to ask. You're right, cuts her off. Voice cold. You have no right. Why should I take in child of man who tried to destroy me? Charlotte flinches at words, but stands ground. Because you're better man than Adrian ever was. Because this child is innocent of our sins. And because, hesitates, then adds, I think you need this as much as Aiden does. Richard raises eyebrow at her boldness, studies boy more closely. Aiden meets his gaze unflinchingly, spark of defiance in eyes. That reminds Richard uncomfortably of himself at that age, after what feels like eternity. Finally speaks, I'll consider it, but I make no promises. You'll stay here in city, where I can keep eye on you. I'll have my doctors look at your case. Relief washes over Charlotte's face. Thank you, Richard. That's more than I dared hope for. As Charlotte and Aiden leave office, Richard turns back to window, mind racing. What was he thinking? Even considering this? Pulls out phone, dials familiar number. Maxwell, need you to do complete background check on Charlotte Wilson and her son Aiden. Leave no stone unturned. Hanging up, eyes drift to drawer, where hidden photo of father. For first time in years, feels flicker of something. That might have been hope. Next few months unfold in blur of doctor's appointments, legal consultations, and careful observations. Charlotte's condition deteriorates rapidly, but faces fate with grace. That surprises even Richard. Aiden, for his part, seems to navigate storm with admirable resilience, testament to strength of Charlotte's parenting. On crisp autumn morning, the call comes. Charlotte passed away quietly in sleep. As Richard puts down phone, profound realization washes over him. Decision about Aiden had been made long before this moment. Finds Aiden in hospital waiting room, small and lost, in world that suddenly become too big for him. Kneeling down to meet boy's eye, Richard's voice softens, tone hasn't used in years. Aiden begins gently. I'm not your father, but I promise you this. I will do everything in my power to give you life your mother wanted for you. Aiden nods solemnly, his small hand reaching out to grasp Richard's. In that moment, something shifts within Richard Bennett. Ice around heart begins to thaw, just little. As they leave hospital together, Richard feels shift in direction, walking towards something meaningful. For first time in long time, rather than away from it. Years pass. Unlikely bond between Richard Bennett and Aiden Wilson forges itself into something profound. Surprising them both, Aiden grows into thoughtful and intelligent young man, unknowingly softening Richard's hard edges. Meanwhile, Richard's empire continues to expand, but priorities have shifted dramatically. Finds himself spending more time mentoring Aiden, teaching him not just about business, but about life and importance of integrity, standing firm in face of adversity. One sunny afternoon, as Richard watches Aiden play basketball with friends, in park, approached by unexpected visitor. "Mr. Bennett," hesitant voice calls out. Richard turns to find himself face to face with Vincent Reeves. Years have not been kind to former rival. Vincent's hair streaked with gray. Once proud posture now appears stooped and uncertain. "Reeves," Richard acknowledges, unable to hide surprise in voice. "You're a long way from where I left you." Vincent winces at reminder of downfall. "I've been doing a lot of thinking, Mr. Bennett, about choices I made. And people I hurt." Takes deep breath, weight of regret evident in eyes. "I came to apologize. What I did to you, to your company, was wrong. Let greed and envy cloud my judgment." Richard studies man before him, searching for any sign of deception. Finds none. All he sees is broken man seeking redemption. After a long moment of contemplation, finally speaks. "Apology accepted, Reeves. We all make choices we regret. True measure of man is how he handles consequences." Richard feels sense of closure. Chapter of life coming to close. Even as new beginnings blossom alongside him, wave of relief washes over Vincent's face. "Thank you. I know I've messed up. Is there any chance of job?" Richard's gaze steady, but expression hardens slightly. "No, but I might know someone willing to give you second chance. Someone who values experience over past mistakes." As Vincent walks away, burden seems to lift from Richard's shoulders. Turning back, Richard's eyes find Aiden, who grown from small boy into young man. When their eyes meet, Aiden waves, his smile radiant and infectious. Richard feels warmth spread through him, rare emotion that would have shocked anyone familiar with his once icy demeanor. Later that week, as sunlight streams through trees and park, Richard stands before a gathering of supporters. With Aiden at his side, today marks launch of Bennett Foundation, venture rooted in compassion and redemption. "In memory of my father," he declares, voice steady and resolute, "and in honor of all those who have shown me that life's true victories lie in lifting others up, not tearing them down." Applause reverberates in his chest. Sound of hope and community. That feels new and exhilarating. As crowd begins to disperse, feels light tug on sleeve. Assistant appears, envelope in hand. "This just came for you, sir. From State Penitentiary." Curious, Richard opens letter. Heart races as reads. It's from Adrian Turner, man who had nearly dismantled everything Richard had built. Letter surprisingly reflective. Adrian expresses deep remorse for past actions, shares insights gained during time behind bars, acknowledges Richard's resilience, asks for forgiveness, not expecting it, but yearning for it all same. Richard folds letter slowly, feeling mix of emotions swirling inside. This heavy moment, one that warrants careful consideration, as he and Aiden walk back to car. Richard feels weight of thoughts pressing down. "Aiden," says, breaking silence, "forgiveness isn't simple. It doesn't mean forgetting hurt or pretending it never happened. It's choice to let go, to refuse to let past control your future." Aiden listens intently, nodding. "Are you going to forgive him?" Richard pauses, contemplating question. I think I already have, not because he deserves it, but because I do." Carrying that anger is exhausting, keeps me from focusing on what really matters. That night, Richard sits alone in study, blank sheet of paper resting in front of him. Begins to write, feeling weight of past pressing against pen. "Adrian," pins carefully, "I received your letter. While I can't erase past, I choose to move forward. Use your time in prison to reflect and grow. When you're released, there may be place for you at Foundation, not for who you were, but for who you might become." Signing name. Richard feels wave of serenity wash over him, glances at photo of father on desk. Tangible reminder of journey. "I did it, Dad," murmurs softly. "Built something real, something that matters." For first time in years, Richard Bennett gazes toward future with optimism. No longer driven solely by revenge or weight of past, understands now the true victory lies in building something meaningful, leaving positive mark on world. As turns off lights and study, steps into cool night air, sense of lightness fills heart. Tomorrow, new day, brimming with possibilities, ready to embrace it with integrity, compassion, and hard-earned wisdom of life, lived fully and honestly.